Welcome, one and all, to the Ring Weekly Catch-Up with professional boxer Jack 13 Morris and my good self, Berth. Well, it was an interesting weekend of boxing, wasn't it? And once again, the Saint was back in action. Georgie Groves. French guy, Rebresse. Very well conditioned kid, I thought. But, question. Is Georgie Groves the real thing? Jack?
I'm not too sure after that performance. I think he's got a lot of things going on in terms of transition with the trainer. But it looked to me like he was punching through mud. And the reason I say that is he didn't seem as explosive self. The shots weren't... they didn't seem to be getting... They were getting through, but they weren't having any effect on this guy. And this guy looked quite slim, you know, the sort of guy you would expect Groves to have knocked out, to be honest. So I'm sitting on the fence. I mean, I'm not too sure that he is.
I've got my thing. When I look at Groves, I think about someone who's done very well in two fights. One fight was a DeGale fight, when I think in Adam Booth you saw what a cornerman can bring to a fighter. The strategy, the psychological kind of balancing, very calm, very cool, you know. And also after he boxed Paul Smith, I remember watching Booth turn around and say, sort of give him a little pat on the bum, saying, right, go and give your fans a wave, almost controlling the condition of his environment, even after the fight. And he got, you know, go and see your fans, telling him what to do, when to do it. And I thought that was fantastic. He's obviously fallen out with Booth, and then he's turned up, and probably the biggest night of his life, from the standpoint of your first ever world title fight, he comes up against what can only describe as a lukewarm Cole Froch. And he comes out the blocks at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he looks brilliant. And I said to you, I think, that fight to me should have been stopped when it was stopped, and I'll tell you why, because he'd come out the blocks so fast that people didn't appreciate just how exhausted he was when he started picking up those shots in the 9th round. A lot of people gave the ref a lot of jip. Now, the other night, to me, he's done the same thing. He's come out the blocks, 1,000,000 miles an hour, throwing loads of shots. Get to about round 6 and 7, you think he looks a bit spent practically, practically. And I'm wondering if his aggressive manner has got something to do with his psychology. I don't know that the strategy is particularly clever, and I think he's missing Booth. And to me, not having Booth there is putting a bit of a ceiling above his potential opportunities in his career.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I don't think it's that Paddy Fitzpatrick. I don't think it's any knock on him whatsoever. But when you see a fighter and a cornerman gel as well as what seemed to be Groves and Booth at that particular time when he was fighting the DeGales, you know, they look. It's all almost like Groves is running his own show now in terms of everything.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
It doesn't seem right.
Right, because I tell you the thing of it is, and you've just hit the nail right on the head there, it's about perspective. It's about perspective. And I think what Booth done, and Booth done this brilliantly, he kept his feet on the ground. Now, I'll get another example. After the fight on Saturday night, Groves is being interviewed, post-fight interview, leans back, turns around and starts saying to Cole Froch, let's do it again. Maybe they can't build a big enough... It's like, well, we don't really want to see it again, George. You must know that. No one's interested in seeing it again. You knocked him down in the first fight and you couldn't finish him up. He stopped you in 9th. And in the second fight, fundamentally obliterated you with one of the best right hands I've ever seen in a fight that was kind of a little bit 6-2 threes, but it looked like Froch was in complete control. And that tells me that George Groves has got a strange kind of idea about George Groves. And I think that if you're not grounded, those kind of ideas that are swirling around in your head can actually be a knock on your confidence when it comes on top a little bit. And it looks like George Groves always up for having a fight, always up to give it a good go. But I just think that without someone like Booth, it's almost his only option. Now, the kid the other day couldn't punch very hard, could he? Let's be perfectly honest. But he could take a good dig. But he was a little bit slow himself.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of times where he thought to himself when he was getting stuck into Groves, if that lad could dig, he'd have him out of there.
Yeah, no,
I mean, that's how I saw it.
I think, again, I'm not too sure. I think his conditioner was in the corner shouting out instructions over Paddy Fitzpatrick. I mean, I remember one time that when Booth was in the corner with Groves and Dave Colwell went to say something, and Booth was like, "Look, be quiet, Dave. This is, it's my job." I think there's too many things going on in and around George Groves at the minute. He's writing he come out to his St George speech before he writes it all. It's like, I think it's just.
It's the ego getting out of control.
I think
That's
it is,
what we're
and,
basically saying,
it's
isn't
off the back of two. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a brilliant boxer, but it's off the back of two.
Well, I think this is the thing. I don't think anyone's putting George Groves down. I'm sorry if it sounds like that. It's not the case at all. But the thing that I hate more than anything is when you see a kid who can be and could be brilliant, and unfortunately, he hasn't got that geezer in his corner. Little word in the ear that he's got confidence in. I don't know why the relationship with Booth broke down. I mean, we've heard loads of rumours, but I'm not going to spin those out to you good people. But I just think it's a terrible shame because if Hay has gone from Booth, then if it was me, and I was George Groves, I'd say, do you know something? I'm afraid I'm going to have to bite the bullet on this one. Go back and get him back on board. I would. I'd go back and I'd get him back on board.
Yeah, I think definitely now, more so than ever.
Because he's obviously going to be the top boy in the shop.
Yeah, and it's not a reflection on the other guy either.
No,
not at all.
No,
it's
not
just,
at all.
It's just that there's a Booth and Groves seem to work well. I mean, like you say,
well.
from the Gal fight, I mean, the tactics for that was just spot on.
Oh, it was superb. But I mean, and let's be honest, he's not as good a boxer as De Gal, is he?
No, of course not.
No, and he got past him. And he got past him because of Booth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the difference when you got someone in your corner, and you'll know this, when you got someone in your corner, that's a joke, when you got someone in your corner, it'll get you past fights like that you shouldn't be winning because the other kid's a better boxer. You've got to get him back in because you can't put a price on that.
Of course not.
So Mickey Williams, when he was in Paul Smith's corner doing the cuts, how much money is he worth? Whatever he's getting paid that night, he's not enough because he kept his title for him.
Well, you got to remember who put Groves in the position to fight Carl Froch. Obviously, Groves did his bit, but you obviously Adam Booth guided him exactly right.
Yeah. I mean, I've never met Adam Booth personally, but I just always really like the way he conducts himself. He seems very professional and and as simple as he just gets results. It's as simple as that. He gets results. A lot of fighters boxed at the weekend. I want to just chuck a few names out to you, and I've written them down actually because my memory's failing. And I want you to tell me where you think they're at their career, in their career, and what's going to happen next, or what perhaps should happen next. Gold medalist Luke Campbell.
Yeah, good performance at the weekend. I thought he was a little bit slower than normal. He's not rushing things, so you can see the improvement there. I think that he would beat Tommy Coyle now. I think that's a fight that after I think he's boxing the guy that Tommy Coyle had a war with last time.
That's right, yeah.
So he beats him, and I think that fight and Coyle comes through Katsidis, or even if he doesn't, I think the Campbell-Coyle fight should happen. I can definitely see Campbell going on to world honours, no two ways about it. He
has. I don't know about you, but I look at him and he has the vague look of an Oscar De La Hoya about him. Just a little bit, that kind of look, good-looking kid, long, nice left jab.
Well, he's doing everything right. Like he's keeping bits of his amateur style, and he's sitting down on his shots. He's on his toe. He's not forgot. The general basics as some of them do.
So a great kid to carry on watching, but needs to be stepped up pretty imminently now.
Yeah, for his own sake.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, another big ticket seller and a guy that we've often talked about. He's obviously gone over. He's with Stevie Collins now.
Yeah.
After leaving Mark Tibbs, it's Frank Buglioni. What do you think about him at the weekend?
Yeah, he did what he had to do. I think. Again, the guy.
Did you see any difference in him?
I didn't see much difference in him. No, I mean, his opponent kind of again, he didn't really look in all that shape. Kind of.
Okay, let's put it another way then. Say you're Frank Buglioni's trainer.
Yeah.
What do you do with him that's different?
It's hard to really say. I mean, I'd work a lot on defence, tightening him up, bringing him. Bending his legs a lot more, staying a bit more sort of tight. He looks, when he throws shots, big shots, he hangs his chin out.
All starts to open up
all opens
bit.
up, and again, against like you see it with the last guy, against the guys that can tuck up and can hit back, he's always going to struggle.
Is that an issue of strength? Do you think? Is he strong enough?
He might need to put it on the leg. Start doing some
Because
heavy
to me,
lift
exactly.
on
When
the
I
legs.
look at him, all these lads punch hard enough. Of course they do. But at that level that obviously he's hoping to get to, they punch especially hard and they take an especially good shot, don't they?
Yeah.
And that would come back to the same thing. The condition would be the issue for me.
Yeah.
I mean, the physical strength, simple as that. I don't think he's a bad boxer. I don't think he's necessarily got a bad chin. I just think he throws himself into stuff he shouldn't be throwing himself into.
Yeah, rushes quite a bit.
Yeah, you throw yourself into a volcano, sooner or later you're going to get burnt, aren't you? Yeah. All right, and then here's a kid who's beginning to make a few waves. Not too sure if it's more the story and the hairdo. Featherweight kid, Romeo Ramayo, who I think is a traveller. I think he's a travelling family. His family are travellers.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And he was brought up or something in the New Forest of an acorn. He's a child of the forest, and now all of a sudden he's beginning to make waves. He doesn't seem like a bad kid. It's quite a good interview. I think he's being trained by Tundi. Tundi, he's very big on the sort of sexy sort of looking pads. I'm not a big fan of it, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think it's a bit not too non-specific and a bit showy, but I'm sure Tundi knows what he's doing. But what do you think about this kid?
Yeah, like you say, he didn't come across as too bad, but you watch him and it's like his showboating doesn't warrant his skills,
Well, it possibly does at the level of opponent he's with at the moment, but how far are you going to get down the road?
Exactly. I mean, it comes up against someone that can actually, bang a bit and knows how to time a shot. He's going to get knocked out like as soon as he steps up, unless he kind of learns.
Well, unless he has got, a cracking chin. You get who is that Mexican kid who used to have the Batman sign in the side of his hair? He was very much Jorge Paez, big fighter from the 90s, and he was very flash and all over the gaff. And he was a circus performer and a very, very super tough kid. But in saying that, he had a super tough chin as well. You couldn't, you could really take a dig. And at top level as well, he was one of them ones. But looking at that kid the other day, again, it's a lot of wasting time, isn't it? It's like, if you get on with it. If you're that much superior to the other kid, get on with it.
I mean, as well, where he was throwing his shots from, he was landing clean on the other guy, and his arms are back here, and it's landing clean.
Well, the biomechanics probably wasn't that great as well.
And the guy's still on his feet. So I think they really need to address the issues of learning the basics. To be honest.
In fairness to him, he seems like quite a big personality, and it's going to be fun. Watching him as he goes along. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, but again, there's only so much of it you can watch. I mean, 6 rounds, and I'd had enough of it.
Kind of zoned out of it.
Yeah. It was fun for the first 2, and then it was like, you're not getting this kid out. I know you got him out there in round 6. It was just like,
Well, okay, from someone you're not very excited to someone you get very, very excited to about, and your man Cal Yaffe.
Yeah.
You're a big fan of this kid, aren't you? You reckon he's the real thing?
I think so. Yeah, I think he'd be. I reckon he'd be global. I think. Reason being is that.
Exactly why? Why do you feel so strongly about this kid?
Because it's his style. It's you have the Ricky Hattons that come along and really had to work hard to. Every fight he kind of seemed to work hard, even if it was a 4-round fight for 2 or 3 rounds. He had to, because he always took a shot.
Yeah.
This kid's. He seems to just automatically touch someone to the body, but it's got the power's just like freakish. He puts him down, and then like the weekend, it was like a nothing left hook. He caught a kid on the temple, kid's over, and he's going through the levels.
He's doing the sort of thing that I like to see. He's doing to the level of opponents what he should be doing to them.
Yeah.
I remember when we were watching Khan come through and he was having wars with Gomez and things like that, and you're thinking, really, if he's what he should be, he should be really wiping these guys away, which he wasn't, which isn't a knock on Khan, because I think Khan's always had stylistic issues with his boxing, which seem to actually be being smoothed out now. But this kid, he's doing the assassin thing. He just goes out, gets the job done.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, again, to watch him as well, you can't take your eyes off the telly, and that don't happen. I can switch off fights quite quickly if it's.
Oh, for sure.
But this to watch him, you can see the art of boxing.
He's got that little bit of special magic, and you know that's going to take him. And you actually, I mean, go on, put your neck on the line. You reckon he's going to be bigger than Naseem Ahmed, don't you?
I think he's got the potential to be. Yeah, if he's guided right. You know, I think he's training with Rob McCracken's brother in Birmingham. So everything seems to be going right there. I should imagine Robert McCracken's got a bit of input into him from the
So a lot of
GB
support
thing.
structures
Yeah,
there
so
to keep him
I think
moving
he's,
forward.
I think he's brilliant.
Well, there you go. There's a quick rundown of the weekend. Before we go on to the big fight of the weekend, British Interest, Paul Smith against King Arthur Abraham, we're going to get a nutrition tip from Fat Nige.
Glorious food. What would we give for that extra bit more? That's all that we live for. Why should we?
I've got one thing to say to you lot. Hormones. And I'm not talking about estrogen, and I'm not talking about testosterone. I'm talking about insulin. Now, insulin does things in 3 ways. It takes the sugar away from the blood, puts it in your muscles. It puts what's left into your liver, and if there's any left after that, you've guessed it, it's going to convert it into fat. Don't rely purely on the white rice and the pasta. Integrate some vegetables into that diet. You've got all the fibre you need. We've got our trace elements in there too, and we've got the slow release sugars. So important when we're training. Don't let that insulin spike. It's not a good thing. Thank you for listening. I've been Fat Nige.
Fat Nige, you've got a nutrition tip from Fat Nige.
What more do you need to know? Thank you, Fat Nige. Big fight taking place in Germany at the weekend is, in some respects, a double crossroads fight. Either of these guys lose, it's got to be fundamentally over, I'd have thought. Paul Smith, British Interest, only 3 losses. Fantastic and loyal servant of British boxing. Obviously comes from the Smith family, legendary when it comes to Lonsdale belts. Fighting King Arthur Abraham, who in his own right has been a legend. I was part of the Super 6 Super Middleweight tournament. How does this fight go at the weekend?
Do you know what? I'm not entirely sure. All depends where Abraham's at.
This is the thing, and it's out there really. If you're looking at a peak Abraham, you're obviously thinking, I don't see.
He's very, very strong. Yeah,
Too strong.
But
what's left in the tank?
That's exactly it. But then, you know, Paul Smith's is a better boxer than people give him credit for. I mean, early stages he was tipped to go all the way. I think injury scuppered sort of plans early on. Obviously had the defeat to De Gaulle.
I'll be honest with you. I think, I remember watching him he was in the prize fighter, UK versus USA.
Oh, the contender.
The contender.
Yeah.
I think it was in the UK USA, and it was in the series itself.
Yeah.
So and that went off. And I remember looking at him and thinking, what a fantastic boxer. But I also thought, if I'm being honest, didn't look in incredible shape. Looked like he could be physically tighter. I think he was boxing at middleweight back then, not super middleweight.
Right.
And I look at him today and I do get the same kind of feeling. What you would describe Paul Smith to me, if I was describing him, is a real solid professional boxer. You know, looks the business, brave as you like. Put him in against your Tony Dodsons, you're going to get the best fight you ever see. But you knock him up that notch, you like your De Gaulle, Grovesy. Again, those 2 lads at world level not proven yet, but he struggles. So now you're knocking him up 2 notches against a guy that is proven, and all the questions really aren't about Paul Smith. All the questions are about Arthur Abraham.
Yeah, to a degree. Again, it's an opportunity that, you know, he must be excited about, purely for, obviously it's a world title. It's no disrespect, but I think it's, out of all the champions, it's probably the one that he's most likely to win, if at all. I give him a good chance. Reason being is Arthur Abraham has not been at his best in my opinion for 2 years.
A good chance though, Jack, in what respect? I mean,
He
is
can punch.
he really going to get a points decision over there?
He's not going to get a points decision, but Paul Smith can punch, and Arthur Abraham does get hit,
That's for sure.
and he does swell up. But
Well, I
on
mean,
that counter-
you've seen the way to beat Arthur Abraham. is to be able to move and hit him. I mean, when I say move, people get a bit misconceived about it. When you say move and punch, it's not jabbing. I mean, you've got to be able to move and hurt him. You know what I mean? Like Cole Froch did. And even when he fought the Durrell kid, I mean, he wasn't getting anywhere near him, was he, up until the point where he actually hit him when he was on the deck. And so it's not complicated to see how to beat him, but we're being able to move that much and put that much power on him and not get banged in return, that's another question. I don't know if Paul Smith has got the ability to do that for 12 rounds.
I think that's another problem, is that his last 3-4 fights have not been anywhere near. I don't think any of his fights have been near the calibre of opposition what this guy is.
The one thing you'd have to say, though, when you think about motivation with what's going on in the British scene, I'll give a little shout out to someone who's been a big fan of the ring, Michelangelo Serra, who made a very good point, which is if Paul Smith does pull it off at the weekend, he'll have done it. He'll have won a world title before both DeGale and George Groves, both the two of the three lads who beat him.
Yeah.
So it's a funny way, isn't it, the way boxing turns around? But I think he's a very crude fighter, Abrahams, and a few of those boxers out of that camp, they box the same way. They basically they're strong as oxes, take a great shot, give a brilliant shot, but there's not a lot of subtlety to them. They just walk their opponents down.
Yeah.
And that's the way I personally think this fighter roll out of the weekend. I think he gets to about round 7, round 8, and I think he's literally, in a very unsubtle fashion, bludgeoned Paul Smith into defeat. But I think you think that he can go the extra 5 rounds and nick it or something, or maybe even stop him late. Maybe.
I mean, you got. Yeah, it's a counter argument. Paul Smith, this is his. I think, it's his first world title shot. It's going to be his only world title shot. I think that's going to bring out something in him. You know, his brothers are out there.
And it will be his only world title shot unless he does really well, and then obviously he gets put back into the.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I can't see that happening myself. I don't think if he loses it, I don't. I think that he's got a few on British, but he's you know, Joe Gallagher's not stupid either. He seems to come up with a good sort of game plan. So, you know, it's not a one-horse race.
No, I mean, it'd be interesting, I suppose, to see if he can get there and get the shots home. But my feeling that it'll be a bit of a struggle, and especially in Germany as well, no one's going to do him any favours. I think his best chance, if I'm being honest, is if Arthur Abraham, the tank really is empty, you know. And but I don't really see that, if I'm being honest. Have to see, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, let's get to our competition then. And it seems to be calming down in the Ukraine. Things seem to be getting a little bit better. So maybe it is time to once again reintroduce our Eastern Bloc bimbo.
Hello everybody, I'm from the Eastern Bloc. This week competition winner will get this limited edition ring t-shirt. It's got official ring logo on the back and comes with the certificate of authentication. It looks great on, but dear naughty man, it looks even better off.
What a fantastic t-shirt opportunity. So if you'd like to win that t-shirt, very simple, go on the ring1910.com and join our blog or join our newsletter, and your name will be put into a hat and picked out on Sunday night at 12 o'clock, and we'll contact you to tell you if you won, and then you can give us your details about size of t-shirt. So just getting to the fight of the weekend, personally speaking, I mean, I'm not an individual rounds better, but I think if you could get a bet on between rounds 7 to 9, that group of rounds, I could see Paul Smith maybe conceding it in that group. I can't give you odds because I didn't get a chance to check on Lonsdale, but on Ladbrokes, but that would be it. There's a nothing type bet which everyone's offering 5 to 1 on Abraham to win. So if I was doing the rounds, I go 6 to 9 for Abraham to stop Paul Smith. Or if you want just a straight bet and you're willing to go 5 to 1 on, not great. That's obviously Abraham winning. What's the bet you like?
Yeah, Paul Smith. I mean, the only three methods that I think that he will win if he does will be TKO, KO, disqualification, and that's with Betfair at 25-4.
Well, let's see what happens. And I mean, and the very best of luck to Paul Smith. If anyone deserves to win a world title, I'd say it was that lad, because he's been absolutely superb. And for him as the big brother to be the first one to bring a world title home,
That'd be
be
nice,
like
yeah.
a dream come true. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Enjoy the fights at the weekend. We'll see you next week from Jack Morris, Fat Nige, Eastern Bloc Bimbo and myself, Berth. You have a great weekend. See you soon.